I gotta tell you, I love this place. I don't know, California, man. This bit got a special vibe. Anyway, if we're in San Diego, I know a guy. So what I want to talk about is I had two original mentors. One taught me amazing work habits, drive, and I don't know, just like me, Tim Mulcahy was a school dropout, and just driven to do better. My other mentor was Tim's partner, the late Pearson McDonald. Pearson, sadly, I can leave that open. Pearson, look at this joint. Pearson sadly passed away in a car crash. I wasn't around, and when I don't really get upset by death at all, but it was one that really upset me. It really threw me because it just came as a curveball. I was in Europe, and it was a year after that I found out. So I wasn't happy that no one reached out to me, but you know, so be it. But Pearson left a legacy. Pearson was the greatest storyteller I've ever heard, and I've seen, not them all, but I've seen a lot. You know, the Ziglers, the Jim Rohns, the Stephen Coveys, Tony Robbins. Pearson was kind of unique. You felt it with Pearson. He came from the heart, and he would tell you the same story 100 times. You'd know the outcome, yet you'd still be waited to see the outcome. That's how good he was. You knew, you'd heard the story, you knew what was going to happen, but you'd still be waiting for the outcome. So, the one story that really leaps out, I'm going to keep flicking this thing around. It's just too good not to see this place. The one story that leaps out is the one of Diamond Jim Brady. Now, if you don't know this story, I'm going to do my best to tell it the way Pearson told it to me 100 times, and I will probably come about 1% of his effectiveness. Oh, there's dog crap all over here, and I'm in bare feet. That's not great. Look at this. So, in the big crash in the late 1920s in New York City, you know, we talk about crashes and Black Mondays and this and that and the other. The big one, the Great Depression, was in the late 1920s. Now, bear in mind, that was before the age of, I don't know, I guess things like welfare or whatever. So people were, you know, in dire straits. However, on that point, there was more millionaires created than at any time in history at that point. So it just goes to show, even 80 years ago, the smart money was always going against what everyone else said. Today, more than ever, the smart, you know, I don't say smart, there's plenty of smart people that are in the system, but the big breakthroughs are those ahead of the game, betting against the game. So in the late 1920s, I believe it was 1929, I may be wrong, which was also the year my dad was born. No connection there at all. In New York, to keep warm, you may have seen this in movies, you know, they had the oil drums, burning whatever they could, garbage in the oil drums, and they'd be standing around the drum in the winter to keep warm. Listen, New York's a cold place in the winter. Even with heating, it's a cold place. So that's what it had to do. And there was one guy, Jim Brady. As legend has it, he was a big guy. Way over 6 foot, which was unusual back then. And a heavy-set guy. And every day, Jim Brady would walk 2, 3, 4, 5 miles to the financial district and try and find a copy of the Wall Street Journal. He didn't have the money to buy a newspaper. He'd try and find one abandoned. And he made a point of this every day to keep himself mentally plugged in. Who knows? So one day he picks up this paper, and there's an ad in there. They want a sales manager for the Pullman Car Company. So, most of us, including me, believe it or not, are too young to understand what a Pullman car is. It's the equivalent of a private Learjet. It's a private railroad carriage for the super wealthy. So this was perhaps the best sales job in the world. Now, Jim Brady wasn't particularly a salesman, but the job was advertised at something like $10,000 a year, which in today's money is probably about 10 million. So he gets the newspaper, he goes back with all these other hobos, vagabonds, call it what you will, down and out, people just down, unfortunate in society. And those terms are probably too hard to use because it was just a bad time. Starving people. It was a bad time. And he pulls out the newspaper and goes around the burning pit. That's the best I've got for the burning pit at the moment, the burning oil can. That's all I've got. Throws the newspaper down and says, listen, I've found a way out for all of us. I've found a way out for all of us. I'm going to go get that job. And when you come up with these things, and I know a bunch of people I work with talk about stuff with their family, their friends, their co-workers, people in life, and they all go, you're fucking mental. It'll never work. Now, I don't know the exact terminology that was used around that oil drum, but it was there. People laugh, people scoff, people talk about you behind your back. Seen this so many times in life with others and myself. But Jim Brady was determined to get this job. And he said to the people around the oil drum, listen, I'm going to go down, I'm going to go get the job. They all thought he was crazy. However, I can't go dressed like this. All right. I look like I belong on Pulp Fiction. I don't care. I'm going to go get this job, but I can't go dressed like this. So I need to borrow your jacket and your tie and your shirt and your pants and your shoes and begrudgingly convince these people to do all this. They did. Even though they thought he was crazy, they did it anyway. And one lady had this big diamond stud, like an ear stud, that even though it was hard times, it was something that was given to her through her family. So she just wouldn't cash it in. And Jim Brady's tie was flapping around, it didn't look right, and there was something off. And the lady took a stud out of her ear, put it through like a tie pin, I think you call them, clip, whatever it is, through the tie. And there was this big diamond in the middle of his whole outfit. He walked 2 or 3 miles down Broadway. Now, interestingly, I've been in these places, and there's a bar down there named after him. So I can relate to this. He walked the 2 or 3 miles down Broadway. He walked in to the office of the chairman of the Pullman Railroad Company. So one of the most powerful men in the world at that time. It'd be like barging your way into Bill Gates' office today. He walked in. There's a receptionist. He threw down the newspaper and said, you can take the ad out. I've decided I'll accept the job. Tell the chairman I'm here. And the receptionist went, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. Sorry, who are you? Tell him, Diamond Jim Brady's here. The stud. Not that way, but the diamond stud. She went, okay. She barges in. The chairman. I know you're busy, but Diamond Jim Brady's here. He said he can take the ad out. He's decided to accept the offer. Oh, he has? Diamond Jim Brady here in my office? Send him in. They shake hands. Jim Brady's there. All 6 foot something of him. Body language. Not giving away that he's a man from the streets. Or off the streets. They shake hands. They agree. And chairman just says, right, start. Monday, 9 o'clock, be here, we'll get started. And that was that. He goes back to the fire pit. He tells these guys, yep, I got the job, start Monday, 9 o'clock. They fall about laughing. They think he's full of shit. He wasn't fazed. Start Monday at 9 o'clock. That weekend, they battled to stay warm, they battled to eat. Monday came, early in the morning, he said, listen, I've got to borrow those clothes again, I can't show up in my hobo outfit. Begrudgingly again, they agreed. Jim Brady walks the 2-3 miles down Broadway again, walks into the office again. This time, the receptionist doesn't treat him the same way. This time, as he walks in, she said, the chairman wants to see you. Wait there. He figures his bluff has been rumbled. After waiting 10, 15 minutes, the door opens, the chairman says, Brady, come in here. Not Jim, not Mr. Brady, not Diamond Jim Brady. Brady, come in here. Don't sit down, you won't be waiting. The chairman says, I've been checking around. Diamond Jim Brady, no one's ever heard of you. You've no record, nothing. You're completely wasting my time. Now just get out. Sometimes in life, you got to put your cojones on the line and call a bluff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. However, Jim Brady knew he had one chance. With the body language, he turned to leave. And if you watch Columbo, you'll understand this. It's actually known in the sales world as a Columbo close. The physiology turns away, lets the pressure off. And he says, just before I go, Mr. Chairman, can I just ask you one quick question, then I'll get out of the way? Communication. One quick question, then I'll get out of the way. The chairman just wants him out of the way. Can I just ask you one quick question, then I'll get out of the way? Okay, Brady, make it quick. Mr. Chairman, I walked in here cold off the street on Friday. You had no clue who I was. I sold you cold in 2 seconds on giving me the best paid sales job in the world. In 2 seconds. What makes you think I can't sell a few Pullman carriages? Now, there's a term that states the first one to speak loses. If any of you guys are in a direct sales world watching this, you'll understand possibly. The chairman didn't say anything. He walked to his window with his back to Jim Brady. He looked out. Okay, it's not Broadway, it's not Wall Street, but he looked out. And then he started doing this. Now, you don't need to be a body language reading expert to know what's going on when someone's doing this. They're obviously thinking. 10 seconds went by, and 20 seconds, and 30 seconds, and a minute, and 2 minutes, which is an eternity of silence, and 5 minutes. In this meantime, Jim Brady was having to bite his tongue. He knew if he spoke, he would lose. He had one shot. If he spoke, he would lose. Later it said in one of his books, he said, I was drenched in sweat. It was pouring out of me everywhere. My clothes were absolutely soaking. 12 minutes. The chairman turned round. He said, you know what, Jim? Yeah, you got that. You know what, Jim? You may just have a point. We're not going to start you on that ridiculously high salary. We're going to give you a chance to prove yourself. You've got 3 months, commission only. They shook hands, and that was that. Started straight away. And that first year, Diamond Jim Brady went on to earn 5 times the highest paid salary that the job was offered for, 5 times that, working commission only. Diamond Jim Brady became a legend. His name is used to this day for various things. He was in the Guinness Book of World Records for various eating records. The guy that could eat the most chickens, the most ducks, blah, blah, blah. I think they've taken those types of records out now anyway. But when he started making money, guess where the money went? To those people whose clothes he borrowed around that oil drum. The other thing Diamond Jim Brady is famous for, is legendary for, is gambling. So if you go to the casinos and you ever heard the term Diamond Jim, this is where it comes from. That was the most inspirational story I ever heard Pearson McDonald tell me, and he told me 100 times, and I would still be sat there. Not just me, 50 people in the room. We knew the story. We'd heard it. And Pearson would tell it over and over and over and over again, and it was spellbinding. There's a lot to be said about silence at the right time. Guys, from beautiful San Diego, I've got to go to LA. If you want to hook up for a beer or a wine or a vodka or even a coffee, you know, not for business. I'll be in the, where am I going? Ritz-Carlton. Marina Del Rey Ritz-Carlton, should be hitting it about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Look for a big, ridiculously stupid looking Kevlar military Jeep thing, yada, yada, yada. We'll be there, probably by the pool. And we'll see you soon. Listen, guys, if you want help with anything in life, reach out to me, Tony Cohen on Facebook, the real Tony Cohen on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. Guys, from San Diego, have a wonderful one.